Hi, and welcome to this lecture where we're going to have a look at a quick overview of Ableton Live 10. If you've never used Ableton Live before, this can look quite daunting. You might be thinking, what is going on? Where's my timeline? Why does this not look like Logic Pro or Pro Tools? What are all these little mixing channel things? But I'll explain what they are. If you've used previous versions of Ableton Live, like Ableton Live 9 or maybe even Ableton Live 8, it's very similar, the layout. I'm sure you're used to it. But what this is here, this is called the session view. So this is really great for actually making little clips and adding clips and playing little beats and clips. Then if you hit the tab button, you'll go to something called the arrangement view. So this is more of a kind of a traditional layout, linear. So we have time-based, time at the bottom. Then if we hit these buttons here, which actually make up the Ableton logo, if you notice. So we have the arrangement view and the session view. We can switch back or we can hit the tab button. Mine actually looks a little bit different to yours. I've actually zoomed in quite a lot just for these tutorials really, so you can see what's going on. We can also close sections with these arrows on the side. If you do want to change the size, you can go to Live at the top, Preferences, and then go Look, Feel, and you can change the zoom display. I've just zoomed it in so it's easier for people to see what's actually going on. Okay, let's go back to the session view, hit tab. So this is the session view. This is the arrangement view. If you've used digital audio workstations before, you're probably used to this layout of the arrangement view. However, the session view, like I said, it can look a little strange. It can look like you're on a mixing desk to start with, but it's not like that. So each one of these has loads of little clips you can actually make, and then we can trigger the clips individually, or we can play a row of clips. So this is really useful for live performance. So you can trigger stuff, and it's also useful for creating a song. You can add loads of little clips, play them, and then what we can do is record it to the arrangement, which we'll look at in a future lecture. So what we can do is actually create our own parts, record them in, or we can just use some of these clips and samples that Ableton Live actually has. So let's just use a few of these samples. I'm just going to type in drums. So these will give us some audio samples. It gives us loads of different drums. Then what we can do is just drag them in. Drag this in here. Then let's type in bass. You might notice you just get one hits like this. These can be sampled. So say we want this bass part. We will have to create a new audio track if we want this separate. So let's go create new audio track, and then another audio track will appear next to it. Let's just drag the bass here. Then we can go Command R, rename this bass. And now we can play these little clips. So that's this clip, this clip. You'll notice it's actually in time, which is pretty cool. Then we can add the bass. Pause the bass by hitting the square button. Let's get rid of this drum part. Then add the bass. And get rid of this drum part. Add this one. Pause this one. Add this one. And that's kind of really like a really basic way of using Ableton. Just drag clips in and play them. It's kind of what you do, but you can also make the clips. If you have a MIDI keyboard, you can also play in MIDI information in our instruments. So if you have a MIDI keyboard plugged in, let's just choose this one here, analog. And I'll play some notes on my MIDI keyboard and I can play along with, say, this drum part. You can even record these clips in. But you do have to make sure your MIDI keyboard's set up, and you do have to have this little red light to record arm it. And if we just hide this, you have more settings here as well. So we have the MIDI from, so this is where you can choose your MIDI keyboard, the monitor, so you can hear it back or not. So monitor in, monitor auto, monitor off, obviously you won't hear. But you can still see the MIDI information with these little yellow dots. We have audio 2 below this, so this is where the audio goes. We're going to choose master, so it will go to the master channel. So when we play this audio, it will get routed to this master track. Then below this we have sends. So this is where we can actually send part of this to another channel. So we can send it to A, or we can send it to B. So A here is reverb, so we can send it to a reverb unit. If we click, we can bring up reverb, and B is delay. So the more you pump it through, the more you send it, the more it gets sent to this reverb. So I'm just going to play this drum kit. You'll notice it sounds a bit weird. It's because it's got reverb and B. You notice it sounds a bit strange because it's got a delay. On the left here, we have these menus, so we can choose our favorites. We can choose sounds, we can choose drums, instruments, audio effects, MIDI effects, Max for Live, plugins, clips, and samples. We will be looking at these in a lot more detail in future lectures. Feel free to skip forward to any lectures. So if you have used Ableton Live 9 before, you might want to skip through a few of these beginner ones, but if you're brand new to Ableton Live, I definitely recommend watching these. Then we have this little thing here, drop audio effects here. So we can drop audio effects here, as it says. And if we click down here, you'll notice we can change to this view. So this view is the sample editor view, and this view is where we can have the effects. So we can have things like the MIDI effects on MIDI channels, and then audio effects on audio channels. The MIDI channels, we can have audio effects, but on the audio effects, we cannot have any MIDI effects, just audio effects, because the information's already there. It's already been processed. It's already audio, so we can't actually add on a MIDI effect. So we've got all these things here. We have stuff like tempo, metronome, bars, play, recording. It's just a really simple overview. We can hide some certain things here, bring them back. I just wanted to make this lecture just for people who are brand new to Ableton Live, so it's not as scary as it initially looks. So this session view here, this is really where we put in clips and we play clips. And then this part here is where we can kind of change it into more of an arrangement, change it into more of a structured song. We can copy and paste clips into this arrangement view. We're going to look at recording in and also building a song in the arrangement view. You'll notice it's kind of faded out. Have this little button here, which will bring it back. So we can just play this drum part if we choose to in the arrangement view. I know some people like to work in the arrangement view, some people like to work in the session view, but I think it's a good idea learning how to use them both. Quick overview. I hope you realize Ableton Live isn't as scary as you first think, because when you first open it, I remember the first time I opened up Ableton Live, I was very confused for the first couple of weeks, really. And after a while, you do get used to it. You just have to realize the session view is a place where you collect clips, you bring ideas forward, and the arrangement view is a place normally where you will arrange it into more of a song. So the session view was originally created for live performance, really, so people could play these clips live and create more of a groove. People do actually use Ableton Live now just for actually recording and creating music. So thank you for watching this lecture, just about getting started in Ableton Live 10. I hope you're starting to get the grips of how it actually works and see each of these as little clips that you can actually record to the arrangement view. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture.